Okay. Hello, guys. I am going to introduce you here to our guest, Austin LeClear. He is the owner of the famous Grow My Ads ad agency and the owner of PPC Copilot, a school PPC community about Google Ads that I'll be interviewing on this live here that I'm hosting today. So I'll be asking Austin about basically how to make Google Ads more efficient in 2025, which is the topic of the live here we have here today. And Austin has already explained to me that people in his community that are asking him about how to make ads more efficient and with all the changes that are going on. So that's what we're going to primarily be covering here in today's live. So I myself have seen Google make a lot of changes coming into the new year, and they're making it more and more challenging for us trying to business owners trying to make money on Google Ads. So I'm happy to hear what Austin and looking forward to hearing what Austin has to say on today's interview and learn a lot. So anyway, with that said, Austin, now that we got the introduction out of the way, I would like to get into the questions.
Well, first, Corey, thanks for having me on. And I appreciate you called it the famous ad agency Grow My Ads. I don't know if we're famous, but I appreciate the kind words.
Sure. Famous enough.
I hope, maybe. After doing this interview, I hope we actually become more famous then. So, but thanks for having me on. I look forward to this.
Sure. Hopefully I can help out, get you more famous. So
good.
Okay. So, the first thing I wanted to ask you here on today's live here is what is the top reasons basically Google Ads is so inefficient today? And why is it happening basically?
Well, I guess you'd have to ask Google that to know truly, but, my suspicion, and I'm sure many others in the community, is, Google, as they've rolled into more of the automations throughout the years, I've been in this for a decade at least. And, I remember my favorite days of Google Ads were when you had manual control. I was running alpha, beta, and SCAGs, and I loved all of that, right? As Google rolled into automations, I was very conservative, about implementing any of that. Because I remember, it's about the time Google Ads support turned into a sales team, basically. Back in the day, I remember, I'm going to sound like an old guy on this interview, but back in the day, I remember Google Ads support actually was really good. And I had, premier status back then. I went out to California. I saw John Legend at a party. We went and they did a lot of cool stuff. And I've been to some of their other offices. It truly was support. Then that started moving more into pushing all the new tech that they were coming out with. So that kind of started with smart bidding back in the day, right? And I remember how horrendous smart bidding was. But what was Google trying to make happen from the top down? Basically, hey, we need more data in order for our machine learning to learn off of all of this data to get better, right? So they throw in all the advertisers into this beautiful beta thing, and I watched accounts get obliterated. Now, we fast forward today, smart bidding is incredible if you use it correctly, right? But Google sacrificed basically the advertisers early in order for their own tech to learn off of. And so I caught that very early on. And since then, I've been highly suspicious of anything Google's doing. So the inefficiencies of Google, in my opinion, are to serve Google and not you, the small business advertiser, right? And if you look at if you just look at Google's revenue, a large part of it is the advertising side. Then if you look at and listen to their quarterly earnings reports, you kind of can understand where they're headed. And for the last couple of years, YouTube has been a big push because YouTube's really a small percent in their overall ad revenue. And sure enough, what's Google start doing? They start pushing more YouTube placements. Then comes Performance Max. Well, sorry, no more smart shopping. We're going to push you into something better, Performance Max. And don't get me wrong, I have a full Performance Max course that I've done for free. You can use Performance Max to your advantage, but they pushed you into a black box that pushes you into YouTube, right? Well, what happened to their YouTube ad revenue? It went up, right? So I think a lot of the efficiencies that you see from Google Ads, it's very simple. Google's trying to sell a lot of their unused inventory. And so they can kind of make that happen through these updates on advertisers, especially the unsophisticated advertiser, someone who's really not paying attention. They may click a button. I don't know, Corey, I'm sure you get all these emails from Google. I'll never forget one time I got an email, right? You have an MCC, I have an MCC. So if you're an agency and you manage multiple accounts, you're going to have an MCC. I'll never forget, this was many years ago, but it was for smart bidding. They're like, hey, actually, sorry, this was broad match keywords. They're like, hey, click this button and we'll automatically update all of your accounts to broad match keywords. And I was like, what kind of insanity is this? Do you know how many people probably clicked that button? Quite a bit, right? And so I'm sure a lot of accounts blew up from just that one email. And so the inefficiencies are to serve Google, not you. And, the number one thing today, as we're talking in 2025, that I recommend to advertisers is you must stay ahead of what's going on. So you've got to kind of be in tune with these updates. I know Google will send emails and sometimes they seem very innocent, but read into those details a little further. Understand the updates that are happening. Understand new features that are being released, especially if they're trying to auto apply it in your account. Be highly skeptical of all of that. Read into it, understand the engineering of it. And if you can't, then hire a professional to be able to do that for you. But you must stay on top of that. I have seen countless times where Google's automations or new features come out, the client had no idea that, or the advertiser had no idea that this was turned on in their account for, the auto apply recommendations. Many people have no idea what that is. They think it's like a good thing, right? So like, oh, I have all my auto apply recommendations on. Google is now making changes on your behalf without even knowing you as a business, knowing what your actual goals are. And now you're giving them full access to make changes within your account. So you have to stay ahead of the game. You've got to be in tune with the changes that are taking place. And I'll give you one quick example. I just got an email today about some new AI updates that they're going to auto apply to merchant center accounts. Okay. Now this could be an okay change. I don't know. I will tell you this. I don't want Google making AI changes automatically to any of my shopping feeds right now without me investigating what this feature actually does. I've seen Meta did something similar to a client recently where they've been like AI enhancing images, and they literally botched an image. It was like a figurine, and the figurine, they like removed the leg and it turned into like this really weird, I wish I had a screenshot of it to share with you guys, but it's just an action figure, okay, with two legs. They removed a leg. It looks totally bizarre. This was their AI enhancement. And obviously it got lots of crazy comments and the client flipped out. We had no idea about it. Well, this AI enhancement piece, I'm speaking a bit too soon. I didn't fully read into this update yet, but I just got an email and Google is going to try to automatically AI enhance your images in your feed. I've got to go read about this. Is this going to benefit us? How does this actually work? So that is how you have to stay ahead of these inefficiencies. Don't just ignore emails. Don't just ignore the updates. You've got to investigate.
I think I would add to what you're saying here is when you investigate, you need to go outside of Google's own documentation on it, because naturally they want you to do these things. Otherwise, they wouldn't be recommending them to you. And that is where outside third-party groups, I really think, are the best place to go for that kind of thing. But certainly, absolutely checking into these updates. What their perfect customer is somebody who is just going to blindly agree to everything. And Google, gets away with that because of the reputation they have. People use Google. They've used it for years, so they don't think Google could do anything wrong. And they're a company like any other that needs to generate revenue. So, you have to
infinite revenue. They're publicly traded, one of the biggest companies in the world, probably one, in my opinion, the greatest business that's ever been created. Now, they're on their toes today because they're going to have to start innovating with AI coming out. Obviously, search is going to change. How long it takes to adapt, et cetera, who knows? But they're now in this stage. They're going to have to, in my opinion, Google has not been, what have they innovated in the last 5 to 10 years? I don't really know. Nothing that great. And especially in regards to the search platform and the ad side of things. So they are publicly traded, though. They in a publicly traded company, it's always infinite growth. How do we continue to grow shareholder value? That's it. And so you have to remember, a lot of these organizations at that stage are thinking that's their thought process. There's an antitrust lawsuit going on with Google in the EU and here in the States. And, there's been whistleblowers that have come out of that saying, Google would increase the floor price of CPCs just to do it, right? Just to, hey, if we notch this up by a couple percent, advertisers aren't going to really bat an eye. They're not going to know. That they would think it's just natural competition. And, we'll generate tens of millions of dollars extra per quarter just by doing that. That was nothing more than Google just increasing your price. That was it. And so that's why, we've continued to see an increase in CPCs for the last 5 years. I think last year, 2024 over 2023, 13% increase. That's universally. So every industry you can think of, some industries are going to be impacted more than others. Was that increased competition? Sure, probably a little bit. Was that also Google, though, just increasing it on their own behalf? Yeah, I believe so.
Sure. Well, with all that said, I 100% agree with you. You have to investigate all these updates that come out because that's their kind of way to get their next quarterly revenue target, if you will. You had mentioned already, you should investigate these things. Where would you say is the best place to go than, to give specifics of where you could actually investigate? I mean, obviously you have a great community itself on School. Is this the type of thing that people can go there and ask questions about, hey, this update just came out. Is it good or bad? What have you learned? Or what would you specifically tell our viewers to do?
Yeah, you're so generous for teeing that up for me there. So I would say, hey, listen, if you just listen to your YouTube videos, I'm assuming, Corey, you have maybe a newsletter and some stuff. I don't know, but you've got a YouTube channel at least. It's simply, and anyone who's watching this obviously somehow it knows of you or somehow got pushed your video in the algorithm. But find smart people like Corey. I've got a YouTube channel as well. Find someone that you resonate with and, stay in tune with what they're talking about, right? Like, I don't do a lot of, like, Google ads is my bread and butter. We do some meta ads here at Grow My Ads as well, but like, I live and breathe Google ads. I live and breathe growing an agency. This is my world, right? However, I'm involved in other ventures too that aren't just agency focused completely, right? So I have to stay in tune with those, different businesses and things or investments. And so I find smart people who's someone who's really smart and has provided usually great valuable content, such as Corey with his YouTube channel. And I try to plug myself into that. I need brain trusts of people who are smarter than me at these topics, who are on top of it, who live and breathe it. So if you work with an agency, your agency should be that hopefully brain trust that's already in your corner for you. If you're running this yourself, just stay in tune with like the smart people. That could be as simple as YouTube channels. It could be LinkedIn people you follow. It could be news feeds that you sign up for, or like we've created just recently. I have a free group, but I'm getting away from the free group a little bit. It's still there because I have a free Performance Max course there, but it ended up like 3,000 people in there. Most of them are like freeloaders who came in, grabbed the course and left. But so it's not the group that I technically want to run. But I've created something called PPC Co-Pilot. Me and my business partner, Luke Donahue, who's also co-founder of Grow My Ads. It's a paid community. I think it's like $100 a month is what it's priced at right now. There, it's like a tight-knit group of PPC experts, business owners, agency owners, freelancers, people who work in-house. And they're like, we're sharing ideas, we're sharing the updates. And so that's a paid source of being able to do that. That community is also there for just expertise help. People are asking me questions. I'm doing video feedback for a lot of these people, and they'll share videos of their accounts and then I'll respond with a Loom video. So it goes more in depth into just staying in touch with like Google Ads updates, but any of the updates are being talked about, right? And so I actually, on my content to-do list, I've got to update the community. The Performance Max updates that just came out a couple of weeks ago. You can add negative keywords now. The search insights now have like different performance metrics to them and things like that. I got to go through there and then update everyone and give them my thoughts on all those updates as well. So yeah, just find a community or find a person or find a source that lives and breathes it and just stay plugged into that.
Okay. Yeah. So in summary, then basically, hiring an agency is really probably your best bet because they're going to give you immediate feedback on these type of things. A lot of people don't want to work with an agency. So in that case, you have to find somebody who, has the information that you resonate with, as you say. Ultimately, that should be somebody with verifiable experience that actually, somebody who runs an agency really is the best because they get to see what's going on in not just one or two different situations, but dozens of situations. So by time they tell you what's going on with something, they've seen it's already been tried, tested, and they know what's going on with it. And then you don't have to make the mistakes yourself of trying every single thing, being Google's guinea pig. So I agree with all that. And thank you for sharing that paid resource as well. I think some of our viewers will actually like that as well. So, okay. With that said, so you had mentioned already the big thing that was, people that want their accounts to run efficient, not even just growing their revenue, but just maintaining what they got, what they need to be aware of, which is Google's going to constantly be recommending us stuff. Some of it may be good, some of it may be bad. What else would you say other than what you had mentioned already about the updates, the causing all the so-called inefficiencies that's causing people to, their ads were working okay before, they're not working okay now, and they presumably haven't made too many changes to what they're doing. They're just wondering, why is it like that?
Yeah, it's a tough question because look, Google's ultimate goal, I think, is to make Google Ads super easy for a business just to plug into, give us your goal, and then that's it. You don't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And that's why guys like you and I can make a living from this, is because there's some sophistication to it. You've got to have some strategy in regards to what you're actually trying to achieve. And so you've got to understand how it works. And, so a lot of times I'm talking in these consultations with people and they just don't understand even how Google Ads really works. And yet they're throwing money at it to try to make it magically get them sales or leads. You usually, as a business owner, including myself and probably yourself as well, Corey, you usually have time or money. And so those who can't afford the agency or the expert, whether it's a consultant, a paid group, a freelancer, or again, hiring an agency, then you probably have time because you don't have the money to buy. You've got a problem you're trying to solve, but you don't have the money to solve it for the expertise. So you probably have time. So it's like anything else. Usually you're going to have to go learn. And so in those cases, you just have to go learn how Google Ads works. Watch videos from Corey, watch videos from me on YouTube, watch videos from others. You've got to like understand the mechanics of how the ads work. And you've got to look at, what am I actually trying to achieve from Google Ads, right? A lot of people they're like, I just want more sales. Okay, but at what cost? What's like the ultimate goal, right? What are you trying to achieve this year? What are you trying to achieve in the next 5 years? How is Google Ads going to play a role there, right? And, in many cases, there's just a lot of companies. It's funny. It's not really even Google Ads. It's like, we've done so many. I did like a couple hundred audits, I think, last year personally. So I've seen a lot of accounts. I've done 1,000 audits personally within my career. Billion-dollar companies to, small mom and pops. And there's a lot of, now most accounts have tons of inefficiencies because they just don't know what they're doing still. But there's a lot of accounts out there that I've reviewed, and, they're actually doing quite well, but they just keep thinking somehow Google Ads is like the magical source to continuing to increase their business because they've been stuck. And the reality is, like, no, guys, Google Ads got you to where you're at. So I'll give you an example. For e-commerce businesses, usually you're going to find a lot of them will get stuck from 1 to 10 million. Okay. And they can't break the ceiling of growth. Why? Because you talk to them and they're always just talking about, how do I get, more growth at my same ROAS? And I'm like, conversation stops there. You are not going to break your ceiling you're currently at with that in mind. And then you got to break it down. Like, hey, by the way, I've seen what $20 million and $50 million e-commerce businesses look like. I'll tell you, they are operating in a different strategic manner than how you are in this $1 to $10 million range. They're not trying to get 600% ROAS from Google Ads. I'll tell you that. But they know their numbers, they know their finances, and they have an incredible back end in regards to, I'm bringing customers in with Google Ads or Meta, but I'm also getting those people to come back and buy multiple times throughout that year or many years. So the LTV and what they're doing on the back end, that is these core components of your company that you own. It's own channels. And then you have, your existing customers. That's a big base. So these $20, $50 million companies, they do operate a bit differently in regards to that. And so it comes down to, what are you trying to actually achieve with Google Ads, and having a clear strategy to get you to your goals, but then also understanding the mechanics of Google Ads. So if you have money, you can buy experts like Corey or myself, right? And I'm going to bring just what I told you on how $20 million agencies or $20 million e-commerce businesses work. I can bring that knowledge to you when you're stuck 1 to 10. And that's, that I gave you an e-commerce example, but we have the same for lead generation. That's just due to the expertise that I've had for a decade of working with thousands of companies. Same with Corey. But if you don't have that and you've got time, right? You don't have the money to buy the expertise, but you have time, then learn. You got to learn the mechanics of it. You cannot simply just, Google wants you to believe you can just plug a campaign in and throw it some money. You will absolutely, you're better off burning your money. Like, you're just giving it to Google's pockets. You probably won't achieve much from it. So you have to spend the time learning. And if it's not you, find an intern, find someone in your company. It could be your nephew or niece or whomever, and make them go learn a little bit about Google Ads. Again, like, I have courses at PPC Copilot. I have a full lead generation course, e-commerce accelerator course. We break this all down for people in a way that's practical, so you can plug in and play and start, spending your money wisely. And that's my ultimate goal with the YouTube content, and with PPC Copilot. Those that can't afford the agency, because we are expensive as an agency, those that can't afford it, I want to offer them, here are the playbooks that I'm going to give you for on YouTube for free for PPC Copilot for a very reasonable monthly cost. Here you go. Go learn from my expertise, our trainings, and hopefully I'm able to prevent you from wasting a lot of money if you didn't have those resources.
Yeah, great. Ultimately, I would say, in addition to like what you said, I mean, ultimately, just to sum up kind of everything you also mentioned, that Google is kind of like shifting things, moving the goalpost, if you will, about what it actually takes to do well with your ads on an ongoing basis as an effort to kind of, make more revenue for them. And it's not an option as to whether or not you actually understand how this beast works, if you will, of Google ads to be successful with it and moving forward. It's probably only going to get more complicated as Google, they're a mature company. They need to, it's maybe even harder for them to increase revenue moving forward, or certainly so. And so Google kind of is relying on you or other advertisers out there to not trying to overthink it or overcomplicate it, so that, what they're doing can, they can charge people more money for the same thing essentially that they were getting before, the same amount of sales that they were getting before. So doing nothing and just letting it ride, if you will, it's going to be less and less effective moving forward. And so you have to take it upon yourself to actually learn how it works. I mention all the time on my channel how, it's all run off of an algorithm now. You have to understand, whether you like it or not, at some level, how these things work. Otherwise, you're going to stress yourself out. Your business is going to suffer if it relies heavily on Google ads and so forth. So this isn't really an option anymore. You really have to study it, or you have to, hire somebody who really just deals with it every day. So I agree with everything you said. And then let's see here. Give me a second. We have some questions here. Maybe we'll, see here. Do you recommend manually inputting good leads into my Google AdWords account? So meaning Google Ads, not AdWords, since AdWords is the old name for Google Ads. Let's see.
Okay. So, well, I would figure a way to do it automatically, which you can, so this is lead gen, obviously, if we're talking about leads being imported back into the account. You can do that through, depending on your CRM system that you're using. Usually like HubSpot, for example, would have an auto integration with Google Ads in that case. If you are manually doing it, I would look at how to like do it automatically through like Zapier or something. Usually the reason being, you can do it manually. The reason being I try to avoid that is most people are going to forget, or it's this process now that it just is clunky. And I just don't see many people who are successful with these uploads that are manual. You have to just automate it. You should not be spending time trying to figure out how to, input the leads back in. Figure out how to automate that, even if you have to go hire like someone on Upwork real quick just to set up an easy sort of zap for you back to Google Ads with that. But absolutely, yes, I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's called How I Get Only High Quality Leads. It's literally my entire, now it's meta ads mainly that I talk about, my funnel, but same sort of idea in regards to Google Ads. I give you my entire playbook and how I spend a lot of money on my own ad funnel for Grow My Ads. Well, I didn't just get good leads, but today, like I get leads every day, right? All the leads that are coming to my sales team are qualified. Now, sure, some bad ones still will come through. That's cold traffic. That's cold leads. It's going to happen, right? However, in that video, I walk you through exactly how we got the funnel going, how much money it cost me to actually make it work, and the entire strategic process of making that happen. I'll tell you, the first 6 months weren't pretty. In the first 6 months, I did not have just only high quality leads. I was able to build my way there. But you have to absolutely feed good lead data back to Google's algorithm. Otherwise, Google's going to look at any lead. And I always give this example. If you're a mortgage broker, someone who has bad credit and no money, and someone who's got a perfect credit score and lots of money, okay, two different people in your world. You want the guy with perfect credit and a lot of money, right? Not the guy with no money and bad credit. Google, if you just have a simple form, hey, go, get your free mortgage, quote today or whatever it may be, Google sees them equally. You have to train Google to see them not equally, right? Get me more rich people with lots of money. So that's exactly what you're talking about. Just do it in a way of importing that data automatically, not manually, is all I would suggest.
Yeah, I agree with the manual thing. We do manual uploads at our firm a lot of times, but for most clients that we suggest to do it, it gets forgotten. And then the worst thing you can do is do it partially, right? Then you're really just going to confuse the Google system. So you really are better off automating it if you can.
100%.
So the other questions we had here were, where's the free group? So ultimately, I'll link to the group from the live when this is over with. But I don't know if I'll also drop it here in the comment section before our discussion's over here. But see what else we have. Yes, importing offline leads to your ads account will help the algorithm understand your business better and what you're looking for. Absolutely. And ultimately, that's like your secret weapon, if you will, because most people aren't going to go ahead and do that. I mean, I would say 5% of people that run a Google Ads account that I audit are importing their leads to their ad account. And it's like, my analogy is like having night vision goggles when you're going to battle at nighttime. I mean, you can see where all the good leads are and your competition can't. And I mean, how much better does it get than that? So,
right.
And then with AI evolving so fast, do you think Google Ads will become fully automated, or will human expertise always be needed?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? So how I train my team here at Grow My Ads is for the future in regards to this. I think you hear a lot of doom and gloom in regards to AI, and it's in any industry. So talk to anyone in any industry, and there's some sort of doom and gloom AI conversation that's taking place, right? Listen, AI is it's going to continue to disrupt a lot of things, but it's a tool, right? And it's providing like incredible productivity increases. I mean, and I still think like the power of what it is and how people are still using it right now is like nowhere near what we're going to see in the next few years. I think, yes, Google will want to probably continue to try to create as much automation as possible. I do believe that smart humans are always going to be needed, right? And so how I train my team here at Grow My Ads is you do not want to be the button pusher. You will lose your job in the future, okay? So if you're the button pusher of Google Ads, that's someone like, hey, I know how to create a campaign. I know how to click these buttons to make this stuff happen. Yeah, you're no longer valuable in the world of automation where a lot of that can take place. However, those who are strategic thinkers, those who can become true growth consultants and partners to their clients will always have a job. I don't really care what AI is doing at that point, because you're going to be utilizing AI probably to help them in some sort. And I see, even if Google is at a point where it's almost fully automated someday, there's going to have to be strategic oversight and guidance of that. And you're going to need an expert in some way, whether it's yourself or an agency or a freelancer, whomever, to help guide that. But like, these are just tools, right? And you're just trying to hit your goals for your business. And a lot of people, I think, give too much credit to Google Ads in regards to like, this is my entire business is Google Ads. I think you should get away from that thinking. It's a big portion for a lot of businesses in regards to customer acquisition. That's what it is. It's new customer acquisition, right? What you're doing in your business, though, on the back end, in my opinion, is more important to the ultimate growth of your company than keyword hacks in Google Ads. And so there's just a role that it plays. Now, it's a very important role, But you have to think of your business not just in terms of like, how do I get just new customers through Google Ads? A lot of small businesses are just stuck in this mindset. It's like, what are you ultimately trying to achieve? Again, so that's the strategic piece. So if you are listening to this and you're like a freelancer, or you work at an agency, or maybe you own an agency, or even if you're in-house, what I'm like challenging my team is we must be upskilling, right? Upskilling in regards to, you've got to know more than just how to click buttons in Google Ads. You have to know how to speak to your clients as a true growth business consultant to them. I'll give you an example. I have a few inner circle. I don't really manage a lot of like clients day to day. I have like a small group of inner circle clients that work with me one-on-one for consulting. And then I have a couple accounts that I still personally manage to keep my skill set sharp, right? And then obviously I'm working with my teams in the accounts and working with them there, but I'm not like managing those accounts fully or working with those clients. But like, to give you an example with my inner circle consulting clients, I'm telling them what changes they should make. I'm actually not in their accounts making the changes. They pay me just for my expertise, basically. But almost more than half of my conversations with them have nothing to do with like Google Ads settings or any technical things in Google Ads. We will talk about those things, but it's usually like business insight data. And then we're using that business insight data to like come back to how we're using Google Ads in order to achieve what they're trying to like as a goal, right? And so it's way more in the actual business data of their entire company, not just like what Google Ads click-through rate is on a keyword. This Google Ads serves your goals as a channel for new customer acquisition. But what are those goals? And what are we seeing in your business? A lot of companies actually fail. They have no idea. And so it's just kind of pulling back the layers of the onion there of their business and understanding, what have you got going on? What's your business data showing? What products are people buying? What can you upsell those people? How do we get LTV lifts in the first 3 to 6 months? And how do we get it, LTV lifts within 1 year that ultimately equals double profit for you from one new customer? Something like that, right? Diving into that data. That feeds back then to the strategy of Google Ads. Ultimately, that's how you start, scaling and growing and winning in the game. But that has nothing to do with like, creating, sitting there and clicking buttons. It's all strategy and using, guess what? In that process of analyzing data, we probably used AI or some form of tools, right? Now I want those tools to work for me. So no, I think smart humans will always be there. And those who can be like true strategic partners to their clients will always be in demand, will always make really good money because you're helping them make a lot of money. And you're just going to be utilizing more AI tools at your disposal, which will actually make you more productive. So I think the future's bright.
I would add to what Austin said. And, when I have calls with our clients, like we'll do a monthly call, it's very little to do with the actual technicals of Google Ads. It's business strategy. And in order to do that, though, effectively, you got to be able to, I would add, look at the full funnel, if you will. You got to know more than just about Google Ads. You got to understand landing pages. You got to understand websites if you're talking about e-commerce. What makes them convert? What doesn't? Looking at how conversion tracking works. Looking at leads at the lead level. Are the leads good or not? I mean, one of the main complaints that I see people have that when they switch away from another agency is, we're getting conversions, but they're not very good. And the other agency just overlook the fact that 80% of the leads are the wrong number or whatever, and so that's how you become valuable to the company, regardless of how much automation is going in. Because at the end of the day, they just want to make money, and they don't want to have to overthink it if possible. So if you can just help them understand the full process and make them not have to think about it, they're not going to care that you're doing less and less work because you're making them more and more money still. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. So that's what I would also say.
Absolutely.
So, okay. I know I had one other question I wanted to ask you, Austin, about like moving forward, what we're going to do. I'll see if we can get to this Cody's question here. But with that said, so we talked about, I mean, already like what we're going to need to do. I don't know if you had any specific tidbits for 2025 of stuff that you think that's going to happen that we need to look out for that are going to make our account more efficient. I know the AI shopping image AI thing was the most recent thing that came up at our agency where, you know, the images are, you know, they're just making changes on their own now. This isn't the first time that it's happened, but is there anything else that you think that what your predictions or like what to look out for?
Well, I don't, yeah, I guess I don't know. Cause like you've got, like if you're running YouTube right now, the big change there is they're going to push you into, if you're using like the conversion based YouTube campaigns, you're going to have to go into demand gen. So, you know, you got to be kind of up to date on that, in regards to those changes that are coming. They obviously released some new Performance Max updates in regards to you can now add up to 100 negative keywords. And there's like some demographic controls there, like I believe with some exclusions and things like that. I still have to like read fully into the Google information in regards to that before, and this is something I'm doing for my community, and I'll probably do like a YouTube video update on it too. So I'm still myself diving into that, but I don't, like sort of predictions for 2025. I don't know. I think you'll continue to see Google trying to push more automation, more AI being baked into it. Like you see now, if you go and try to build a campaign, you know, it's going to try to like actually write ad copy for you now and suggest keywords, etc. I think you'll see more of that. Ultimately, I haven't found that helpful in most cases, but it's new. And so fast forward to the end of this year, it could be really good. I don't know. And so just staying up to date on all of that. And just being aware again of those changes that are coming. But I don't have big predictions. I know some people, I even thought about doing like a 2025 Google Ads prediction video, and I'm just like, never mind. I don't want to do it because I don't ultimately know. Here's what I would say. Here's my prediction in regards to this isn't even Google Ads. This is just how people are using Google Ads, businesses. My prediction is we are in a stage of like the last 10 years of my existence in this world of Google Ads. I mean, all my company is called Grow My Ads, right? All my conversations are growth, 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 growth. Now, as I'm talking to more established companies, obviously it depends what stage you are in your business. Obviously, growth is always the goal. But now, as I talk to more established companies, as we are today in 2025, a lot of the conversations that I might have had with them a couple years ago, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, pre-COVID, or even during COVID, a lot of those conversations were centered around continued this like growth. Now it's more like, hey, how do we optimize? We got to optimize towards a little bit of margin right now. So I'm seeing a bit of a shift with a lot of companies. These are mainly bigger companies who have been, you know, probably running ads for 5-10 years, right? Where they're even shifting internally as an organization to optimizing for margin right now versus velocity. And usually you have to pick a lane, especially if you've kind of got more of a matured account. You've been running Google Ads for several years. You got a lot of historical data, a lot of really good campaign structures already developed. Usually you have to pick a lane in regards to, are you trying to use Google Ads for velocity meaning more volume, or are you trying to like, we've got to kind of get a little more margin right now due to other macro things that might be taking place. And so that's a big conversation that's happening with a lot of companies right now. That then strategically changes how you operate your Google Ads account, right? And so I think more in those conversations are going to happen this year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you know, that's why we're making this live here, is because things are getting inefficient with Google Ads. People are really struggling to keep even just what they have on track. And I agree. I see that people are going to be focusing on that more and just maintaining what they have versus scaling. Even though at the beginning, obviously, it's about scaling, like you said. And once you get mature campaigns, it's what can I do to keep this locked in. And with Google keep, changing the landscape, if you will, updates, all that, it's going to get more difficult, which we, obviously mentioned what you do. You have to stay abreast of all these changes, and it's not an option not to do that anymore. So, anyway, with that said, I know I mentioned that we might be able to squeeze one more question in here. Then we'll do the outro here. So with that said, the Cody here had mentioned he has a campaign for a personal injury attorney, and he was wondering if he's segmenting campaigns out by case types: motorcycle accident, car accident, general personal injury, to control costs. Is it better to basically control your costs that way versus grouping things together and versus segmenting and having everything hyper segmented? What would you say?
No, I would consolidate those and then segment by ad groups right now. Your goal is to, and I just did a YouTube video. Sorry. I did a YouTube video, I forget what it's called. Something like how Google Ads works in 2025 or something, but I talk about a consolidation and why it's so important. But first off, personal injury is very, very hard and expensive. But if you segment everything right now, unless you've got like $1 million per month budget, that segmentation is going to hurt you because at the campaign level, you're going to need enough conversion volume now at the motorcycle level, just as you will for general personal injury or car accident, et cetera. So now if you've got like 10 campaigns for all these different case types, you're going to need lots of volume individually on those campaigns. And in reality, these leads, yes, ultimately are probably going to be some will be worth more than others. Some will close better than others, et cetera. But you're not at that stage yet. That's like an optimization stage. Right now, what I would say is, hey, you just need leads, right? And yes, you can serve all these different cases, motorcycle, cars, et cetera. Let's consolidate, split those by ad groups. Let's get in one campaign the data flowing in. You're going to start seeing probably some leads coming in from motorcycles. You're going to see some coming in from cars. Then you're going to start getting data. Then from that data, you're going to be able to make better decisions. Later down the road, then segmentation might come into play, right? Maybe you do need to segment out motorcycles because your CPA to LTV on that is unprofitable compared to everything else that you've got going on in that campaign. But you have no idea on any of that yet. So in the beginning, you've just got to get data. And then from once the data starts coming in, you'll understand what's working and what's not. But don't do that segmented today. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, segment. Today, consolidate. Then in the optimization stage is where I start finding myself doing segmentations. But that's because I've got a lot of data all in one campaign. I can start utilizing smart bidding quicker with that consolidation. And so again, I've got a full video breaking down. I have like visuals that I did in regards to analogies and things to make it easier to understand. So go check that out. I believe I think it's like how Google Ads works in 2025. It's one of my recent videos in the last couple of weeks. And yes, in your case, I would, unless you have an insanely high budget, I would consolidate that right now.
I would add to what Austin said that, yeah, the more you segment in the beginning, the longer it's going to take to get traction because your learnings are going to be spread out amongst more campaigns. And so my mindset on this has shifted because I've saw how Google Ads behaves. It's better to do more of a consolidated strategy at the very, very beginning so you can get some momentum going. And then later on, you can segment out as you go. Otherwise, it's going to take a long time to get the initial traction you want in terms of cost per lead and maybe longer than you're willing to stomach. So I agree with what he's saying.
Cody said it's $100,000 per month budget. You've got the budget. By the way, if a personal injury lawyer lead comes to grow my ads, we immediately tell them no unless they're spending $20,000 per month minimum. It's just that hard of a playground. There are guys I know who, probably would debate that and they're able to make it work with smaller budgets and all these other fine. But from what I've hey, if you don't have 20 to play, then it's just not something we're really interested in because it's that hard and expensive. 100,000 a month is pretty good. Cody, I would consolidate right now, but at 100,000 a month, you're going to get a lot of data quickly. You're going to get a lot of conversion data quickly, and you're going to get you'll be able to just segment sooner in the optimization cycle due to that bigger budget, but still keep it consolidated. Now, I'll give you an example that has nothing to do with personal injury lawyers, but if you were a e-commerce business and you sold podcasting microphones and then you also sold toilets, I would say have that segmented, right? Podcasting microphones and toilets are totally different product categories. We probably don't want those lumped in together right now in regards to like search ad campaigns. So it will depend. I've got a lot of training material on that topic in regards to like segmentation, when to segment, when not. But in your case, consolidate.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So great advice. Well, thank you, Austin. I think everything you shared was very helpful even to myself, but I'm sure to the audience as well. So I'd like to say just first of all, thank you for coming on and doing this live with me. And so maybe you can let our audience know where they can learn more about you, find your YouTube channel and so forth.
Yeah, so the best place is just on YouTube. It's Grow My Ads ADS is our channel. So if you just search that, you'll find us. And then also our school community, PPC Copilot. If you go to our YouTube channel, though, you're going to find a link to the group. But if you probably search PPC Copilot School, SKOOL, school's just a platform if you've never heard of it, you're going to find PPC Copilot as well there. But best place, just go to our YouTube channel.
Okay, great. So anyway, thanks again for coming on, and maybe we can do this again some other day. But with that said, if you don't have any other input here, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, appreciate it, Corey. Happy to hop on anytime. And thanks, guys, for asking questions. That was fun.
Okay, thanks again.
Cool. See ya.
See you later, Austin.